Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and members of the community. I'm Commander Steve Trickle, and I'll be going over the Oxnard Police Department Military Equipment Use Report for calendar year 2024. Recommendation that the City Council 1. Receive the Police Department's annual report concerning its inventory and use of military equipment in accordance with Government Code Sections 770 through 7075. 2. Approve the renewal of the City of Oxnard's Ordinance 3014, which is codified in Oxnard City Code Section 2-112 as the city's military equipment policy as required by Government Code Section 7071E1. 3. Approve the continuing authorization for funding, acquisition, and the use of military equipment by the Oxnard Police Department's military equipment inventory as required by Government Code Section 7071E2. 4. Approve the acquisition and use of the following military equipment items. A. 5 40mm projectile launchers. B. 24 .223 caliber rifles. Background. Assembly Bill 481. Signed by Governor Newsom on September 30th, 2021. Concern over the militarization of police departments in the United States. Concern over the use of surplus military equipment and improved transparency. Defines certain equipment as military equipment, codified in Government Code Sections 7070 through 7075. Went into effect on January 1st, 2022. Law enforcement agencies must meet certain criteria requirements to use equipment defined in these codes. Background. Defense Logistics Agency's 1033 program, formerly Defense Reutilization Marketing Office Program, also known as DERMO. Oxnard PD ceased procuring equipment from these programs years ago. Equipment defined as military equipment. Although defined as military equipment, it is not necessarily manufactured, intended for use, or used by the military. Most of the equipment defined in these codes has been utilized by the Oxnard Police Department for decades. Many of the items are not weapons. The majority of the weapons are less lethal weapons. Examples. Examples of military equipment under AB 481. Command vehicles, armored vehicles, unmanned aerial vehicles, also known as drones, less lethal shotguns, 40mm less lethal impact weapons, chemical agents, and patrol rifles. This is not a comprehensive list. AB 481 requirements. Law enforcement agencies must obtain approval from their applicable governing body, City Council, via the adoption of a military equipment use policy by ordinance before the law enforcement agency may fund, acquire, or use such equipment. A public meeting to discuss this policy was held 30 days prior to the City Council approving. On June 7, 2022, the Oxnard City Council adopted the Oxnard Police Department's military use policy, Policy Section 708. AB 481 requirements continued. The policy went into effect July 6, 2022. Policy must be available to the public and can be located at the below listed links. Policy includes the department's military equipment inventory. City Council must vote annually to reapprove this policy. The department must provide an annual military use equipment report, and the department must have a community meeting. The Oxnard Police Department has these policies listed for the public under the Oxnard Police Department website located at www.oxnardpd.org, located underneath the Transparency section under the tab AB 481 Military Equipment. Military Equipment Report. The Military Equipment Report must contain the following information: a summary of how the military equipment was used and the purpose of its use, a summary of complaints or concerns received concerning the military equipment, and the results of any internal audits, information about violations of military equipment use policy, and any actions taken in response. Military equipment use report continued. The total annual cost for each type of military equipment, the quantity possessed for each type of military equipment, and if the law enforcement agency intends to acquire additional military equipment in the next year, and the quantity sought for each type of military equipment. The report covers calendar year 2024. 2024 Military Equipment Use Report. The following slides include highlights from the Oxnard Police Department's 2024 Military Equipment Use Report that was provided to City Council. There were no complaints related to the military equipment in 2024, nor were there any violations of policy related to the equipment. California Government Code 7070C1. Unmanned, remotely piloted, powered aerial or ground vehicles. Oxnard PD has used unmanned aerial vehicles, also known as UAVs, since 2019. These vehicles provide a wide range of defined operations. All Oxnard PD drone pilots are FAA certified. UAV operations are documented in a flight log. No complaints were received regarding the use of UAVs. UAVs were used 180 times during this reporting period. Current Oxnard PD drones. Drones can perform about 1/3 of the same functions as public safety helicopters, but at a fraction of the cost. There are 4 drone types that we are using: the DJI Matrice 210, the DJI Mavic Enterprise, the DJI M30, and the DJI Advanta. The Advanta is our smallest drone, slightly larger than palm size. We use this model to navigate in confined spaces. Upcoming implementation. As an aside, the police department is currently in the implementation phase for Drone First Responder Program. This was approved by City Council in December of last year. Oxnard will be the first agency in the Tri-County region to implement this emerging form of modern policing. In this program, 3 pre-positioned responder drones are sent to selected calls for service. In addition, 2 indoor tactical drones will be used by our SWAT team. The advantage of a DFR program include improving response times for calls for service. Drones are often the first resource on the scene and improve not only efficiencies, but enhance safety to both the responding officers as well as the public that we serve. California Government Code 7070C1. Unmanned ground robotic vehicles. Small, battery-operated remote control vehicles. The SWAT team possesses 2 of these vehicles. They have the ability to locate and communicate with suspects. A search warrant must be obtained prior to using this vehicle to enter a residence. Training to operate is provided by SWAT officers. No ongoing costs associated with these items. The equipment was used 3 times during this reporting period. California Government Code 7070C1 continued. Transcend Robotics Vantage Robot. This device is used to enter structures to locate violent, often armed subjects wanted for violent crimes. This equipment provides a safer option for officers to get a view into a building or structure through the robotics camera system and decreases the likelihood of a lethal force encounter. There are no ongoing costs associated with this item. California Government Code 7070C1 continued. Transcend Robotics Vantage Robot. On September 8th, 2024, Oxnard officers responded to assist the Ventura County Fire Department regarding a missing person who was possibly stuck inside a small diameter drain pipe. Utilizing the newly acquired robot, Oxnard officers searched a significant distance from the drain pipe opening and were able to successfully locate the victim, who was ultimately rescued by the Ventura County Fire Department personnel. California Government Code 7070C3. Mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles or armored personnel carriers. The department owns 2 Lenco Bearcat armored vehicles. They provide ballistic protection during high-risk incidents and contain no weapons. They give the officers the ability to safely utilize de-escalation techniques. Also used by fire department, tactical emergency medical services, also known as TEMS. Only ongoing costs are preventative maintenance and fuel, approximately $1,100 per unit per year. They were used on 48 occasions in 2024. 3 responses to armed subjects and assist patrol officers, 25 for search warrants, 20 for community engagement events. There were no complaints received during this reporting period. California Government Code 7070C3 attaches an image of our newest Lenco Bearcat. California Government Code 7070C3 continued attaches a helicopter photo of Oxnard officers using the older Bearcat while performing a rescue through the second-story window after an armed suspect had shot at officers and forced his way inside the house. It's important to note that none of the residents had knowledge of or knew the suspect. California Government Code 7070C4 tracked armored vehicles that provide ballistic protection and utilize a track system. The police department does not own this type of vehicle. The Ventura County Sheriff's Department owns a Rook, which is a small ballistic caterpillar. It mitigates the risk to SWAT officers while performing dangerous tasks during high-risk incidents. The Sheriff's Department makes this equipment available to the department. The Rook was used on 1 occasion during this reporting period. There are no costs to the city associated with its use, and no complaints were received. California Government Code 7070C4 continued attaches an image of the Rook and how it is commonly used by SWAT teams. California Government Code 7070C5 continued. Command and control vehicles that are either built or modified to facilitate the operational control and direction of public safety units. The department currently owns 13. 2 are comprised of large command vehicles, 2 Sprinter vans, 1 DUI enforcement trailer, 8 Ford Explorer utility vehicles. The Ford Explorers are used on a daily basis. The large command vehicle was used 18 times in 2024. The UAS van was used 180 times. The traffic van was used 15 times. After the initial purchase cost, the only ongoing costs are fuel and maintenance, which are approximately $63,400 for fuel and maintenance per year. There were no complaints received regarding the use of these vehicles. Government Code 7070C5 continued. Please see the attached slide with the images of the different variants of command vehicles for the Oxnard Police Department, which include large chassis commercial vehicles as well as Ford Explorers with command center pull-out drawers located in the rear back section of the vehicles. California Government Code 7070C7 battering rams, slugs, and breaching apparatuses that are explosive in nature. The SWAT team has 2 shotguns designed for breaching. The shotguns were purchased approximately 20 years ago, and all required training is provided by department personnel. There are no ongoing costs associated with this equipment. These items were not used during this reporting period outside of training. California Government Code 7070C10 specialized firearms and ammunition of less than 50 caliber, including assault weapons as defined in sections 3510 and 3515 of the Penal Code. 223 caliber rifles. Only officers who have received post-training may carry 223 caliber rifles. Officers must qualify and requalify on an annual basis. Rifles are only used when circumstances indicate the use of lethal force may become necessary. The department spent approximately $10,598.85 on ammunition and maintenance. California Government Code 7070C10. Ongoing training and maintenance is provided by Department Range Safety Unit personnel. This weapon was fired on one occasion while confronting a suspect armed with a handgun during this reporting period. California Post defines the intentional pointing of a firearm at a member of the public as a reportable use of force. All reportable uses of force are investigated and tracked by Professional Standards Unit. During this reporting period, rifles were pointed on 87 occasions. The department did not receive any complaints regarding the use of rifles. California Government Code 7070C10 continued. Precision .308 caliber rifles. In addition to 223 caliber rifles, the police department also possesses 11 .308 caliber precision rifles. These rifles are used only by a select few officers assigned to the SWAT team. Officers assigned these rifles receive extensive training and qualify on a monthly basis. These rifles were not fired other than during training. The police department did not receive any complaints. California Government Code 7070C12. Flashbang grenades and explosive breaching tools, tear gas, and pepper balls, excluding standard service-issued pepper spray. Flashbangs, also known as light sound diversionary devices. The SWAT team uses them. They provide officers with a method to distract violent suspects. It also significantly reduces the risk to officers when dealing with violent suspects. Officers authorized to use these devices must attend a post-certified course provided by department personnel. These devices were used 30 times in 2024. The devices gained the suspect's compliance on 27 of the 30 occasions, eliminating the necessity for any additional force tactics. The department did not receive any complaints. California Government Code 7070C12. In this slide, there's images of a flashbang or a light sound diversionary device pictured on the right, which produces a very loud sound and a bright light indicated in the photo. California Government Code 7070C12 continued. Tear gas. The SWAT team has chemical agents, more commonly known as tear gas. Tear gas is a less lethal tool used to safely compel barricaded suspects out of vehicles or structures. Tear gas is used during high-risk incidents to mitigate risk to officers. Training is provided by post-certified SWAT personnel. Chemical agents were used 3 times during this reporting period. The department did not receive any complaints. California Government Code 7070C12 continued. On this slide, it shows images of various types of gas canisters available to us, as well as a 40 millimeter launcher, which can launch a gas projectile from a distance. California Government Code 7070C12 continued. Pepper ball, less lethal weapon that deploys small spheres filled with a chemical irritant. Pepper balls are used to overcome a resistant violent suspect without the need to use lethal force. Officers are trained by post-certified personnel. The pepper ball was used 7 times during this rating period. The department did not receive any complaints. California Government Code 7070C12 continued. On this slide, images are shown of a pepper ball launcher as well as pepper balls. California Government Code 7070C14. 40 millimeter projectile launchers, beanbag, rubber bullet, and specialty impact munition weapons. Beanbag shotgun and 40 millimeter extended range impact weapons. The Oxnard Police Department uses 12-gauge less lethal shotguns and 40 millimeter impact devices. These less lethal devices give officers the ability to address a violent suspect from a safe distance. Increased distance provides more opportunity to use de-escalation techniques. The less lethal shotgun was used on 3 occasions while the 40 millimeter was not used. Any deployment, whether it makes contact with the subject is a reportable use of force and is reviewed by the Professional Standards Unit. California Government Code 7070C14 continued. This slide shows images of the 40 millimeter launchers and its munitions, as well as the beanbag shotgun and its munitions. Military equipment acquisitions. Government Code 7070 requires the police department to disclose any equipment deemed military equipment under the statute that the department intends to acquire, and include the number and type sought during the next reporting period. Military equipment acquisitions, items being sought. 5 additional 40 millimeter projectile launchers. Less lethal tools allow officers to engage violent, potentially armed suspects from a safe distance, also allowing officers to attempt de-escalation techniques, which often prevent officers from using lethal force. The additions of these items is intended to increase the availability of this option when needed and will be secured in the K-9 patrol units. The total cost to purchase these 40 millimeter launchers is approximately $9,686, which will be paid using Supplemental Law Enforcement Service Funds, also known as SLESF. Military equipment acquisitions, items being sought continued. 40 millimeter rounds, training and live rounds. The department's inventory of 40 millimeter rounds has become depleted over the last year due to expired rounds and the use during previous years. The addition of new 40 millimeter projectile launchers also increased the need for training and live rounds. The total cost to purchase these rounds are $9,360 and will be paid using the general fund. Military equipment acquisitions, items being sought continued. 223 caliber rifles. 24 replacement 223 caliber rifles. The rifles currently assigned to the Patrol Bureau are over 20 years old and have exceeded their lifespan under patrol team conditions. Needed for increased firepower and accuracy in situations that require the ability to engage targets at longer distances, penetrate barriers, and effectively address threats while minimizing risk to officers and members of the public. Provide a tactical advantage in addressing high-risk scenarios such as active shooter situation or dealing with heavily armed suspects. The total cost to purchase these rifles is $47,945 and will be paid using asset seizure forfeiture funds.